All right. Welcome, everyone. It's great to see you. Welcome back to many of you. So I'm Essie. I'm the founder of Products That Count. Let me get a show of hands. How many of you have been here before? Yes, about a half. That's awesome. That's the usual ratio. We have this program. It's called Members That Count. If you come 5 times or more in the year, we give you some cool perks. We invite you to our holiday party in December. We give you 20% to all of the events of the following year and so on. So we love that. Anyway, so the first thing I want to do is thank our sponsors. So I'm going to start by thanking our host sponsor, Yelp, who's awesome. Thank you very much. They have been hosting us since we started these events in San Francisco, and the team we work with is fantastic. If you're interested in working at Yelp, you can go talk to the folks that are underneath the Yelp sign over there, and they'll hook you up. I also want to thank our sponsor, Pragmatic Marketing. They provide awesome training for product folks, and if you want to check their websites, pragmaticmarketing.com. They have a ton of trainings around the country. A lot of them are here. So I encourage you to check them out. And then I also want to thank our sponsor, WeChat, who doesn't know WeChat? Okay. WeChat is an awesome sponsor. They provide a ton of free tickets for you guys. If you're interested in trying them out, I honestly think, that one of the reasons we wanted to have them as sponsors is because they're really looking at the future of mobile, and they have some really interesting stuff. So thank you. I also now want to welcome our speaker, Jennifer. So recently met Jennifer and some of her colleagues, and they have such a great story around relaunching a product and successfully executing product launches that I really wanted her to share that story with you. So welcome, Jennifer.
Oh, 1 second. Can we switch off? The slides are off. Would you mind switching off the slides? I have the punchline at the very end right now. Awesome. All right, let's try this again. Mulligans. All right. Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. I'm really excited to be here. So I'm Niffer Nan. Niffer is short for Jennifer. And today I'll be talking to you guys about how to execute big product launches. This is a topic I'm really excited about. And I think as product people, we spend most of our time working on small iterative launches, as we should, right? Like launch often, launch frequently. That's a best practice. It's a mantra that we use. And I actually really believe in that. But every so often, there are outsized benefits to doing something a little bit different, to have a big launch moment. So what I mean by this is, potentially bundling up some changes and going to the market at the same time, going to the press at the same time. This is different than an iterative launch, but I think can be really beneficial. The challenge is these are way harder to pull off, and we don't have as much practice doing it. So the odds are more stacked up against this. So at this point, I have led a few big launches and also been a part of several launches. And so today I want to share with you how to think about how big to have your launch, and also share some tips and tricks on how to make your launch really successful. I'll be talking to you guys for a while here, so I'll give an intro to break the ice, and I'll start with my personal life, so my life outside of work. All right, so outside of work, I like to play Frisbee and I rock climb. And just so you know, I started doing it before it became a Silicon Valley cliche. To get really personal, I recently got engaged just a few weeks ago. My fiance sitting in the front row. And it happened in New Zealand, where Lord of the Rings was filmed. And so the whole time we were just joking about the One Ring. So now that I showed you a picture of me in a swimsuit and me looking like Gollum, hopefully the ice is broken. And I'll talk to you a bit about my professional life. So I've been a product manager for over 8 years now. And one thing I've really appreciated about my career as a PM is I've had the opportunity to work on a bunch of different types of projects. So working on a redesign is totally different than working with engineers on a technical rewrite, which is again totally different from working on a V1 product, which is again like really different from doing a bunch of growth experiments and trying to move the metrics, which is again really different from mobile. So I've really appreciated that. And you can say that my career started with my undergrad at Harvard, where I got a minor in computer science and a major in atmospheric chemistry. Right out of college, I went to Microsoft and worked on Windows. I was there for 4 years, and the big project I worked on there was Windows 8, the big Windows 8 redesign. And for the last 4.5 years, I've had the opportunity to work at Asana. So in case you are not familiar with Asana, Asana is a tool that helps teams track their work. It's a pretty flexible tool, so you can use it for a lot of different use cases. So you can use it for bug tracking, or you can use it for applicant tracking, or you can use it for like project planning, like leading a big launch. And so Asana is a pretty flexible tool, and I really enjoyed using it. I started at Asana when we were a smaller company. We were 30 people, and I was the second PM there. And now we're at 270 people with 11 PMs. So that's been really awesome. And during my time, as I mentioned, I've worked on a bunch of different types of projects. And also, a big part of my work is building teams. And I mentioned this because I think that as product people, we often really focus on building the product, right? We're thinking about our customers building a really awesome product. But I do really believe that the second product we should be building is our team. Because if you're able to make a really great team, then that's going to make your product even better. And so I've done some more like traditional team building things, like working with really awesome feature crews. I had the opportunity to manage half the PM team, and we actually grew the team from 4 to 11 people in the last year, which has been awesome. We have a bunch of the PMs up here today, and they're all really great because we're all very different, and I love that because it means that we push each other to think differently. I've also done some less traditional team building work, for instance, leading the company-wide internal communications. So what this is making sure that everyone knows the right information so we're running in the same direction. And this is atypical for a PM to do, but I actually think it's like pretty, it makes sense because our job is to connect the dots between the different teams so that we can be successful, right? So that's about me. And so we'll go ahead and talk about what we'll be talking about today. So we're all here to talk about executing big product launches. First, we'll be talking about, okay, you've got a feature. Should you go big or not? How big should you go? Then we'll talk about, regardless of how big your launch is, ways to maximize success. And then at the very end, we'll leave lots of time for Q&A, so this is going to be more of a dialogue. And because I'm a PM, I have goals. So first, it's really important to me that I'm sharing actionable insights with you guys so you can actually take some of these tools home with you and use them for your next launch. And I also really just want to share my point of view because I think that the way that we do launches at Asana is really great. I'm really proud of it. And I think it's a little bit atypical. So I'm hoping by having this talk, we can just like really stretch each other to think in a different way. All right, so big launches, yes or no? This is actually, I would say it's like a pithy title, but it's a bit of a misnomer because a launch can be, it's more of a spectrum, right? On one hand, you can have, like you ship a feature and you don't talk about it at all with anyone. Or you can have a blog post, you could do some tweeting, and on the other spectrum, you can have like a big PR, like press event. And so, when I think about what a big launch is, I think of it as, taking like a bunch of changes that you have, instead of talking about them like as you go, talking about it all at once, and then going to the press, and then also, having concerted marketing efforts around it. So again, I think this is a spectrum, but just for the conversation today, we'll say it's like a yes or no type of thing. Right. So whenever I think about a big launch, I actually think of it like pulling off a heist. So, it's if you actually succeed, it's amazing, right? There's treasure at the end. But the odds are kind of stacked against you, right? There are so many moving parts. There's so many things that could go wrong. It takes a ton of work to like figure out what's going on. And you only have one shot. So why would you want to pull off a heist? Why would you want to do a big launch? I think there are a couple of really big reasons. One is it gives you an opportunity to pierce through the noise. Your users are busy people. They're distracted. There's a lot going on in the news and their personal lives. It's really hard to get their attention. But if you actually have a bigger launch moment, this is an opportunity for you to pierce through the noise and actually grab their attention. It's also an opportunity for you to tell a bigger story. So if you constantly are like shipping things and talk about them as you go, it's a little hard to take a step back and say, hey, this is what we're doing today, but this is just the beginning, right? Where like this is where the company is going, this is where the